Morning, guys. So, hopefully you can see me there. Today's Friday. I am going to do another vlog today, and Nala, are at the beach for sunrise, and then the rest of the agenda for today will be training legs. Got a little bit of work to be doing. I'll be training legs in a few hours, and then this evening I'll actually be doing a run. One of the bigger runs as well, so will be cool to kind of talk you guys through that. Nala is itching to get to the beach, so I'm gonna take Nala for a run around and then back for coffee and breakfast. Hey there. Move over. Okay, so beach walk is done. I actually saw one of my old clients. This, if you don't know, this area is where before moving to Melbourne, I was up in Byron Bay, and I used to work at a gym up here. It was actually the first gym that I worked at. And I just saw one of my old clients that I had for a few years there before obviously moving to Melbourne. So that was pretty cool. I'm gonna go pull up next to the river. I'm gonna have some breakfast. Nala's gonna have her breakfast, coffee. Gonna get started on that client meal plan. I say meal plan, it's actually, I've got a client who's in a cut at the moment. We've gone relatively aggressive, but he trains in the gym, like strength sort of stuff, but he also does martial arts, and he's got a fight or a comp, I don't know the technical term for it in that sport, coming up this weekend. So, sorry, not this weekend, next weekend. So he's got to make weight. He's got to, like, we're in a cut, so we're still losing a little bit of weight, but by then he'll probably be weighing, like he might still be like a kilo off. So there's a bit of like food and water manipulation that we can do to basically get that extra weight off there. So I've actually just got to write him up a little bit of a plan and some protocols for next week. So he weighs in and then he's got to fight in 2 hours. So if we do anything very aggressive, it won't be great, because we obviously don't want his performance to be hindered by any protocols that we do. We've basically got to make it as like least invasive or have like the least detrimental effect to his performance on the day 2 hours later. But yeah, just something I thought I'd share. It's kind of exciting to do new things like this as a coach. Like, it's great doing all the same sort of stuff that I do all the time, but sometimes it's nice to have a different client, different circumstances that require a slightly different approach. So very exciting. I'm always excited for things like this. No, it looks like she's ready for her breakfast. Ready for breakfast, Nala? I reckon you are. My morning of work, that's all done now, which is pretty good. I'm about to go train legs. I thought I would kind of show you guys what I've got in my gym bag and then the reasonings why as well. I was looking at it, it's actually changed a lot over the last years or so. Nala, leave it. Nala was looking like she was about to make a break for it. But yeah, it's definitely changed a lot over the last couple of years since I have moved away from doing powerlifting. So obviously back then it would have been like the full powerlifting kit. I didn't really realize how much I had changed until I looked at it the other day and I was like, oh wow, it's actually changed a lot since those last few years. But first thing, spare t-shirt, don't need to explain why. Obviously water, definitely going to be very important to be hydrated through your training session. I've got liquid chalk. I don't really use that currently, just because I have like lifting straps. But if I was to be doing any sort of deadlifting, anything like that, or I was using some lifting straps that weren't that great, to be honest, I would definitely be having liquid chalk, deodorant and hand sanitizer, just so I don't stink. That's my biggest thing in the gym. If someone stinks, obviously like training hard and all that, but you can make an effort to not smell really bad. I got this the other day. So it's a Vulcan handle. I use these when I train arms. So like tricep push downs, some bicep curl variations. Very, very similar position to like using a rope, just significantly more comfortable. And you can actually use it really well. It works really well on a cable crunch. Way more comfortable. You may have seen me doing them. I've got wrist wraps in there. I would use that if I was doing any sort of barbell benching. I'm not currently. I haven't used it on my dumbbell bench. No particular reason why. Like it actually would be good for me to use them on there, but I just haven't. No reason why not. I just have been a bit lazy probably. Tripod is going to be really worthwhile to be filming sets so you can look back at them and make sure that you were one training hard, track some progress, but also give yourself pointers. Also your coach can give yourself pointers as well. So lots of benefits to filming sets. It's not always just for Instagram and things like that. Going to be benefit to it, even if you don't have a coach, watching them back between your sets or after you've trained, and even just after a few years to look back on some old training videos can be a good thing to do to see how far you have come. Now I've got 2 sets of lifting straps. I've just got some regular ones and then I've got some figure 8s. I was always a big fan of these. I actually prefer like the Versa style grips, but I've actually lost mine at a gym. But I've been liking using the figure 8s just as they feel really good. All my pulling movements and lower body movements where I am holding onto something, the goal of those movements isn't to be training forearms. The goal of it is to be training the back, the legs, depending on the movement. So you don't need to be trying to hit your forearms or train your forearms when you are doing your pull-ups or rows, whatever it is. Don't get sucked into that camera. I bought these as well, just because I found it was really hard to actually find them in the gym. They're cuffs, so if you're doing any sort of like lateral raises, I'm doing a leg curl variation, which I'll put up on the screen even now, or I'll put it later on in the video, but I'm going to do them today. I don't like to be waiting or trying to search for things in the gym. And because I'm going to be on the road and I'm going to be training at a few different gyms, I don't always know that they will have them handy, or they might be old ones. They might not feel as good. So I've just got myself a pair. Makes it really easy. Both of these ones here, really cheap off Amazon. I think that one was like $20. They were $20 to $30. Actually, no, I think these were like $15. Crazy. Definitely worth it if you have the extra money to spend. Now, another one that I've got here is actually a seat belt. This is going to be really good if you are doing any sort of leg curl, like seated leg curl or seated leg extensions, to keep yourself more locked into the machine. You can produce a lot more force and effort going into the actual movement itself, allowing you just to get way more from your hamstrings and quads, depending on the movement that you're doing. So I do highly recommend that. Again, that's probably $30 from Amazon. Out of all of these that I would be recommending everyone has is definitely lifting straps. That's by far the most important one, or the one that's going to give you the most bang for your buck, 100%. And then the rest of these, it's kind of like, it's nice to have, it's not necessary, but they're cool and they're nice things to have, and they don't really cost a lot. And chuck them in your gym bag, leave it in your car, and you're set. That's everything I've got in my gym bag. I'm going to go train legs. This is a bigger leg day where it looks bigger. Everything is like 1 to 2 sets. Barring calf raises, which is 3 sets, but everything else is 1 to 2 sets. I'll put the full screenshot up on the screen. I'm going to go train legs and then a little bit more work later on back into my run this evening, which is going to be cool. It's going to be an hour run. So longest I've done. This is the first proper one of the new like running training block. I'll see you guys in training or after training, and I'll see you soon. Finish up training legs. Went very well. Been reintroducing some hinging exercises, which has actually gone very well. It's only week 2, but it's been feeling pretty good. Going very slow with the progressions and weight jumps and all that, just because obviously there was the back issue that I had beginning of the year. I'm actually going to be doing a bit of one long form video entirely on basically what happened with the back and then the mental side of it, because it's one of those things, I'm kind of out the other side of it now. Still dealing with it a little bit, but getting back to deadlifting or doing anything like that and loading the back, still mentally, I probably haven't recovered. Like just, it kind of scares me a little bit to think about going in and doing some sort of deadlift. So I want to talk a little bit more about that, but that's going to be a separate video coming out over the next few weeks, because I think it will definitely help a lot of people. It's going to be a video that I kind of wish I had as I was working through this. I'll go into it very briefly now, but the mental side is one of those things that takes significantly longer to recover from an actual injury. If any of you here watching have had an injury around training, no matter what it is, the physical injury heals, and then for a while afterwards, sometimes months, maybe years, depends on how you deal with it and how bad it was. It can feel very daunting to actually get back to doing the movement that it maybe flared up on or training that particular area. So it's something that I want to talk about because it's a very tricky thing to navigate. One, as a coach, communicating it to clients, but even just from like a client and an individual perspective as well, it has very, very big impacts, especially as someone like me who is a coach. Their whole business is basically around moving their body, being able to perform, lift heavy, things like that. So it's a very, very challenging thing, and that's going to be something I'm going to talk about in a future video coming over the next few weeks. Something that I did want to speak about a little bit here was nutrition around like training double days. Like obviously I'm picking up running now, and I've trained legs this morning, and I'm going to be running this afternoon, probably about a 7 to 9 kilometer run. And this doesn't just go for running. This goes for if you're doing any sort of double day, whether that's like a strength workout and then playing a sport in the afternoon, or doing a run, or whatever the other activity is that you do in the second half of the day. It's going to be really important that we nail nutrition between. So obviously eating enough and at the right times, basically before you do before you do your first workout. But then in between those workouts is going to be very, very important, because that's where you can actually, you've already used a lot of your glycogen stores during that first workout, whatever it was. So we need to replenish that so you can, one, recover, but also perform as efficiently as possible for your next activity, whether that be a run, a sport, or a strength training session. So it's why it's really important that we have enough time, ideally between those two activities where possible, so we can refuel. The reason I like doing a double day like this is it gives my legs significantly more time to recover. This way, I only have 2 days out of the week where I'm loading my legs. If I did a leg day and then a run the next day, I've basically now got 4 days where I'm loading the legs. Yes, the loading is very different with both of those modalities, but it's just something that I personally prefer. And with the strength training being a priority, that's why I always put that first. It also makes sure that my run doesn't impact my next leg day. Just a few things to consider there if you are doing any sort of double days, or you're introducing running for the first time. Just a few things that we can do like that with the actual days and nutrition to make sure that we get as much recovery, but also as much performance as possible there as well. So just something I wanted to talk about. Me now, I'm going to have some lunch post-workout, and basically the meal, like we were saying, in between my run. I'm going to get a little bit of work done from the computer, and then before I run, probably about 40 minutes or so, I'll have something small, basically just some carbs, and obviously hydrating in between here because it is warming up a little bit outside as well. So, end of the day, gonna go for my run now. I'll talk you through a little bit while I get my shoes on, what the sort of plan has been with this run. Just move that a little over there. So, for those who don't know, I have the background in running. That's where I actually started before even any of like the strength training. It was all pretty much running, and then I was doing both for a while, and then I moved away from it as I got into powerlifting. And then these last 6 months, I should actually say over the last year or so, I'd taken it up running, and then I'd stopped and start. These last 3 months has been the most consistent I've been, just because it's feeling really good. Well, there hasn't been any injuries that has come up. There was a few things that were coming up prior to this that were, that led to me kind of putting it on the back burner like just a little bit more. The plan so far, I got myself a running coach. The first month or so, I was just doing it myself, just going for 2 runs a week. Very, very easy. Not pushing the intensity hard. Just literally I started running, I think like 15, 20 minutes. Some like stop start, basically like walking, and then very slow jogging, and then slowly did it to where I was doing only jogging. And then once I was doing that 20 minutes, 2 of them a week, then that slowly progressed to just more time on my feet. Again, never really pushing the intensity too much. And then I got a running coach, very, very similar process. 130 to 40 minute run, 140 to 50 minute run. Did that for the first block. And then now we have gone into our first proper training block where I've got still 130 to 40 minute run, very, very like slow, not trying to push the pace or anything. And then this run, the second one of the week, is basically 50 to 60 minutes long. And the final 10 minutes, just pick the pace up a little bit. Still not sending it. Two of the biggest mistakes people make when they do their running or when they start to program their running is they start running way more times than they actually need to for the goal that they've got. My goal is basically to run a half marathon end of this year or the beginning of next year, but that's kind of like a secondary goal. The main goal is just to get fit and healthy. I don't need to do more than twice a week. I could, but I don't need to. A lot of people tend to like they start running and they're running every day or 3-4 times a week, which isn't bad, but oftentimes it's too much for the goal that they've got, and this just leads to burnout eventually. Instead of trying to do too much on top of a busy life and also the rest of their training, if they are strength training, which they definitely should be, if they want to be fit and healthy and also just good at running. That running and strength training really complement each other really well. So that's the first one, is just doing too many days of running for the goal that they've got. And then the second one is just pushing it way too hard. Basically like just every run, they're just leaving feeling absolutely exhausted. That's just a really easy way, one, to really fatigue yourself, but also to get those little niggles that come up in the joints, the body starts feeling beat up, you start feeling tired, and again, leads to burnout, leads to you not running as much, and it just really hurts that consistency. Those are the two biggest ones, and those are the two things that you just don't really need to do. You can train a lot less with running. Obviously, if you want to be running more than 20 kilometers or anything like that, basically more than a half marathon, then yes, you definitely need to be running a bit more than 2 to 3 days a week. But you also don't need to be pushing the intensity every single session, and also in those first few months as well. That's my 2 cents on it. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. I'm just under 2Ks in. Usually takes me about 1 to 1.5 Ks to feel a bit more warmed up. Joints, energy, and just get like in a good rhythm with my pace. Not that I'm aiming for like a specific pace at the moment, just feeling like in the groove with it. But today's leg session was a bigger one, so legs are definitely feeling fatigued, but that is what it is. We keep going. Oh, fucking fantastic view though, if you cannot see. Anyway, I'm gonna put you guys away. It's gonna get dark soon. I actually realized I forgot my torch, but that's fine. Gonna get these last, I'm probably 15 minutes in, 10-15 minutes, somewhere between that. Probably got another 40 or so to go, and then I'll see you guys back at the van. So, finished my run. That's the longest I have ran, time-wise and distance-wise, probably since I was like 17 or 18 and 10 to 15 kilos lighter. So very, very happy with that. It was about 9.72 or 9.73, something like that. I just checked it as I was finishing up there. It's just loading on my phone. But overall, a really, really good run. Felt significantly better than the previous 2 runs I did. Don't know why. Sometimes it's just like that. Someone probably a lot smarter than me could probably tell you why, but I don't know. But that's those runs done. Something, I mentioned this on my stories a couple of weeks ago now. Every time I go for a run, or every time I'm about to go for a run, I'm doing a few other habits around business and very rarely training like in the gym. Some habits, and also definitely when I'm going for my run or when I'm halfway through a run, there's always part of me that's like, I could do it later, or I could stop now, I could go back now, I could call it at 7K instead of pushing for that 9, 8 or 9, whatever it ends up being. or when I'm got some work I need to be doing and I know I need to be doing it, I'm like, the only person that's saying that's time sensitive is me. I could say that I could just do it by tomorrow instead of getting it finished by today. And the main reason I bring that up in my stories a couple of weeks ago, imagine I bring it up now, is that it always comes back up for me with these more challenging things that I'm working on. Everyone has them, whether it's training, whether it's something to do with work, study, whatever it ends up being. There'll always be some things that you try and negotiate with yourself. Once someone voiced it like that to me, or just put it like that, like you're negotiating with yourself, you start to recognize that negotiating happening with you in your mind, and you're like, I know what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to get myself out of this. It's hard in the moment, or there's some sort of friction there, something's going on. As soon as I heard someone describe it like that, it became so much easier for me to recognize it. So therefore, when I recognized it, it became easier to be like, okay, I know what's happening. Let's just push through. Let's ignore it, or let's hear it, but let's not take action upon it. So I might have a better way of explaining that, or a better solution for it, but that's just my own personal experience. And that helped me whenever I began negotiating with myself. And it's one of those things, I'm definitely not always perfect with it. There's those times where maybe I cut that run short, or I push that workout and do it tomorrow, or I say I'm going to do it tomorrow. That definitely still happens, but it happens a lot less now that I've heard it described like that. Just thing I was thinking about, I got some hydrolytes and some carbs. After a run, I don't always feel like eating a big meal straight away. So that's why I always kind of just smash this 20, 30 minutes later. And then I'm usually feeling pretty good to eat something. I'm going to log off after this because I'm pretty cooked after training this morning, the run, and then all the other work, and just a busier week. So I'm going to drink this. Thanks for watching. Like I said earlier in the video, I'm going to be having in the next 2 weeks, maybe even next week, a video coming out on the back injury that I did have, or the back pain and kind of the whole mental side around that. So definitely keep an eye out for that one, as that's going to be if you've had an injury before or you're going through that now, I think it'll be very, very valuable and you'll probably relate to a lot of it. So definitely keep an eye out for that one. But thanks for watching through to the end here. Like I said, if you're not already, please hit subscribe. If there's anything that you want to see me kind of talk about or show in these vlogs every week, please let me know, comment below, or send me a DM over on Instagram. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.